Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. We'll give everyone a minute to join us. Thanks for having me in your home or work or on your phone or wherever you're listening in. So we have a few attendees. We'll wait for a few more. We had a great turnout in registration, so want to let everybody to get in, and then we'll get started. As always, anything you want to know or talk about, the chat is always open the entire time. And you're going to want to be probably a more active participant tonight. We're going to be doing some things in a very good way, a little bit different, because this is a master class to make sure we cover all the different aspects. So in order to do that, you have to have different formats. So tonight's format is going to be much different than some of the other classes. So a lot more interactive, a lot more involvement from you. So you'll see what I mean in just a moment when we get started. So hello. All right, so give everybody just a minute to get in, and then we're going to get started. See where we're at. It is 6:03 according to my phone, and we're going to take it away. All right, so today what we're going to be doing is talking about the body as a whole. And as you know, you have all these different organs and systems. And we're going to be talking about each one more specifically. We may or may not get through all of them tonight. We might have to do a part 2 class, but we're going to be starting with some organs, the systems, and even talking and addressing some symptoms. Not that we're going to be talking about treating symptoms per se, but getting a very good understanding of what's happening, how your symptoms relate, and what it is they're really trying to tell you as far as organ function, which obviously is the most important thing. So looking at functional medicine, the holistic approach, trying to get an understand of if you could talk to your body, like, it'd be really nice if everybody on the inside could just speak with you. So I look at all the organs kind of like people. So wouldn't it be just better if they could just like reach out and be like, hey, Lori, hey, it's me, your pancreas, and we don't like that donut that you ate for lunch, or hey, Lori, this is your liver. We don't like whatever that is you breathed in this morning on your way to work. It would be so much easier. But in lieu of that, that's what tonight's presentation is to start teaching you and thinking like how to become like what I like to call like a body whisperer, and what you can do and how it relates to your symptoms and health issues. So we're going to get into that now. All right. So the first thing I want to start with is how complex the body is. And I know you all know this from the previous master classes, but I am going to show you the video or the picture. Let's make sure, and we'll run through here and make sure that it actually works. So let's just go, and I'm going to go open up some tabs here, and we're going to see if you can see them. So that's the first first homework assignment of the evening is if what I do you can actually see. Let me just go open up. So the oldie but goodie. Just taking a look here. So let's see. Can you see this? Let's go, and let's go here. Share. All right. So in the chat, somebody say yes or no. Can we see this? So yes. Awesome. Okay, great. So in keeping with the complexity that makes you, again, this is what you look like if we could open you up and look at you microscopically. These are all of your genes. These are all the biochemical processes. These are all the biochemical pathways. These are all the enzymes and hormones and byproducts that are made in order to make your body you. All the vitamins that are involved, all the deficiencies that can be created, all the organs that could get into trouble. This is, half the stuff that your body does isn't even on this picture. So it's already overwhelming the way it is. And this isn't even half of it, but it's a good starting point. So the reason I'm showing you that is what, taking a look at what you really look like on the inside and what we're probably really looking at as far as your health situations. And if nothing else, what it answers the question for you is, why can't I figure myself out? And the reason you can't figure yourself out is because this is what it's going to really take to figure you out. And in keeping with that, I just want to give you some statistics here. So the woman's body has approximately 30 trillion cells. And when you want this body to work in complete harmony, it needs all 30 trillion cells working together and cooperating. So not only do you need all of your key systems working together, such as your nervous system, your cardiovascular system, and your hormonal system, then you also need all of those organs working and cooperating together, such as a spleen and a liver and a heart and intestines, all of those organs. And then above and beyond that, if that's not enough already, then you need all of the cells that literally make up the organ and make the organ the organ. So imagine all the cells that it takes to make just a liver or a heart or a spleen. And there's approximately 30 trillion of those roaming around inside of you, top to bottom. And in order to achieve true wellness, you need all 30 trillion of those cells working together, cooperating in balance, in harmony. So that's quite a challenge. And that's what we're going to be taking a look at here and answer some questions is like, how is this even possible? So it starts giving you an appreciation of how beautiful and brilliant this body actually is. So how are we going to do this? So we know we have 30 trillion cells. So it starts with what I was just talking about here is this balance. And we're going to take a look at this. So let me go get that. I'm going to share this with you. Good. Excellent. So it starts with a word called homeostasis. And basically what that means in general terms is keeping everything in balance. Homeo meaning the same, stasis being the root word from like stability. So you want this like stability, meaning everything is balanced, everything is like and even and equal on both sides. And that is the name of the game. So above and beyond symptoms or problems or organs or diagnoses or vitamins or minerals or exercise or sleep, what's actually below all of that, there's only one game the body is playing, and this is the game. It's playing the homeostasis game. So what you're trying to do is get all of those 30 trillion cells into, quote, homeostasis, meaning in balance, that they're balancing each other out and they're giving and taking, ebbing and flowing. So that's what we're really trying to achieve here. And this homeostasis is quite a trick because, again, now you have 30 trillion. Imagine getting 30 trillion people to cooperate. So you understand the magnitude of what we're looking at here. So no different is like, all of these organs and systems all have like their own agenda, and rightly so. But the whole idea is they have to work together in harmony and cooperate. And how this comes about is this balance. And what you're looking at here with any health problem is how does this homeostasis occur, or what should occur, or when you have a symptom or a health problem, what is not occurring? That would be a great question. And the answer is it has to do with the biochemical process. And every biochemical process, for the most part in your body, happens in a circle. So it's like a cycle. So you have the energy cycle, and you have the hormonal cycle, and you even have a sleep cycle. You know, you go to bed, you sleep, you get up, you know, you run your day, you go to bed, you sleep, you get up. So everything in life basically works in a circle or in a cycle. And that's what we're looking at. And every cycle, no matter where it occurs in your body, or even with these organ systems, or in your lifestyle or your eating habits, you eat in a cycle as well, is it all has a start, it all has a change, and it all has a stop. So start, change, stop is what's happening in every biochemical reaction in every cell, every second of the day. So let's take a look at that. So let's take a look at what these cycles look like, because it's very, very important. So first, what we're going to do to make this easy is we're going to give you a non-body example. And so I think everybody can recognize this one. So what you have here is a car. So nice little sports car. And what you have is with a car, aren't you starting, changing, and stopping it all the time? So the one way you start it is literally start it. You get in it, you push the button, you put the key in, whatever kind of car you have, you start it, the engine turns on and you go. And then you change it, you change direction, you turn left, you turn right, you do all of these different things. And then eventually you stop, you put the car back in the driveway, or if you've reached your destination, or you're at the, the facility, the job, whatever the case may be. So you started that car, you changed that car on the highway, on the side roads, and then you stop that car in the parking lot for work. So pretty simple example. But what I want to get into is a little bit even more complex on the car, because we want to talk about the inside of the car, the machine. So we're going to be taking a look as the body as a machine. So what we want to go is even deeper. And with this sports car here, what you have is you have the starting point, then you change things, and then you stop. And that's what we're going to be looking at. So let me go get another picture to better explain what I'm talking about here. So we know the overall start, change, stop. Now let's talk about how this relates to a car internally, and let's talk about in just a second how that relates to a body. So let me go get that. Excellent. So in order for the start, change, stop to occur, usually what you do is to start the car, there needs to be fuel. So whether you have an electric car and that fuel is an electric source, or it's petroleum, gasoline, it doesn't matter. So you have a fuel source. So you put the fuel source in this machine, and then what you do is you now drive the machine, and you go through all the processes you were just talked about. So you drive it, you go here, you go there, you do this, you do that. You're on the highway, you're on side streets, etc. And then on occasion, because you've driven this car all over the place, it needs a little bit of a tune-up. So you take it in for service. So you put the fuel in on the front end so that this car has the raw materials, the nutrients, so to speak, the energy it needs to move and perform. And then you go through the actual driving experience. And then on occasion, bells go off in your car, or you have a reminder, or possibly a significant other remembers it's time to take it in for service, get the oil change because it's dirty, or even you just taking it to the gas station and putting in more gas. So all of these little things are the different parts of the car and what you do as far as the fuel is concerned. So good. So with me so far? Okay, excellent. So pretty obvious so far, but just bear with me. There's a method to my madness. Okay, good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to shift gears, because what you have is, now that you have this car, is what you know is you put good quality raw materials in that car. So you know that car is not going to move or drive if there's no fuel in the gas tank, if there's no oil in the oil tank, if even something as simple as you're not going to be able to see out of the windshield if you don't have wiper fluid, because on occasion you're going to need to clean that. So just like in a body, you have different parts of the car, they have different functions, and there's liquid levels in a car. For the most part, there's nutrients, so to speak, or precursor materials that you make in order for that car to work. And then the car uses those materials, and then either you've depleted the material, like in the gas tank, you just ran out of the gas, so you got to go get more, and or because of this, the production, the engines, friction, things spinning, sometimes things get sticky and dirty, and some of these liquids don't ever leave the car, but they do get dirty over time. Well, now what I'm going to do is we're going to take the body, because the body works exactly the same way. So first what we're going to do is we're going to start here with a picture here. Let me go give you that. And we're going to start with the female hormonal system, because so much of what we're talking about in this masterclass is women and oriented. Okay, good. So what you have here with the ovaries and uterus, you on a big scale and a small scale, you have a start, you have a change, and you have a stop. So let's use the most obvious one here. In a woman's body, her menstrual cycle. So in the puberty years, the menstrual cycle starts. Then as you go through decades of life, it changes a little bit. It comes, it goes, it gets shorter, it gets longer. Some people get severe, painful cycles. Some people get heavy cycles. So it's changing, you know, so you're going through life, it's changing. And then what you do is you go through, quote, the official change of life known as menopause. And then once that change occurs, it's actually the last change, then you stop, and then no more menstrual cycles. So that's what the uterus does as a whole. The uterus also, ovaries and uterus are still also going through a monthly change. So you start ovulation. Ovulation goes through all of its processes. Possibly there's conception or there's not conception. That would be the change. And then if no conception occurs, then ovulation stops. The body goes on to the next phase of the month, and now you're into your menstrual cycle. So your ovaries, your uterus are doing this on a large scale as an organ, and as a smaller scale in what we know as your actual cycle. So remember I said everything in the body is a cycle. So the female hormonal system is going to be a great example. Now, how this relates to what we're talking about, though, is a lot of you are suspecting or have problems with your hormones, with your ovaries and uterus, and how you're trying to differentiate what's happening is you have to look at it at this on three key areas. So if you have a hormonal situation or an ovary and uterus situation, clinically, what I'm thinking, and this is what's going on inside of my head, is one, do you have a start problem with your ovaries and uterus? Do you have a change problem with your ovaries and uterus? Or do you have a stop problem with your ovaries and uterus? And you can apply that same basic question style to, I get migraines. So is that a start problem in the head, a change problem in the head, or a stop problem in the head? And this is also what the medical model is missing, is this is what functional medicine is all about. The doctor is not looking at each organ first and foremost as an individual. And then they're also not looking at the specifics of this organ and looking at it from a start, a change, a stop. So how that relates now, we're going to move on to the body now very, very specifically. So let's go that. And I'm going to show you, and this is not only for the ovaries and uterus, though that's what we're going to be using for our example here. The three start, change, stop steps that you have is the start for any organ is the nutrients that you're eating and you put in and or you donate to the organ or system. So for our example here, the ovaries and the uterus. And then once the nutrition is there, then the ovaries and uterus goes through what's known as metabolism. That's what change in a body is called. It's called metabolism. We primarily know metabolism as far as, just eating foods and that, the stomach growling and when you, feel that the food is going down the pipe, so to speak. Yes, that is a very general concept and definition of metabolism, but each one of these organs, each one of these cells is doing their own large level metabolism and their microscopic level metabolism. So we have the nutrients as the start, we have the metabolism as the change, and then what needs to happen is once these organs and systems are done doing what they're doing, they need to have, quote, a stop. And for the most part, stop is in the form of detox, meaning stopping doing whatever you're doing, cleaning out the area, getting ready for another day, just like the ovaries and uterus do. So you put the nutrition in, the uterine lining thickens, the ovary comes down into the uterus, you're waiting for the sperm to fertilize the egg. This is all the metabolic steps. Let's say, no conception occurs. So that metabolic change needs to start wrapping it up. And then once that's all done, then the detox needs to happen. And that's where the sloughing off of the uterine lining occurs. And then you get your menstrual cycle. So detox is a natural part of this whole entire process. And if you never looked at it like that before, is your menstrual cycle is actually the detox step of how to keep the uterus and this whole cycle going and functioning at perfection. So again, that's a very general example. Now, what's happening then, and then here are some questions you can ask yourself, and then now you're going to get a better understanding of why you can't figure yourself out, and or the medical doctors, because they're not looking at all three phases. When someone tells me I have a hormonal situation, or I think it's my ovaries and uterus, or whatever they say, the first thing I'm thinking is, one, is this a start problem? Meaning, are they not providing enough good food and nutrition to the ovaries and uterus, that if you wanted the ovaries and uterus to even do their job normally, could they? Do we have enough gas in the gas tank as far as the vitamins, minerals, nutrition that ovaries and uterus need? That's the first question I'm asking myself. Let's say argumentatively they do. The next thing I'm looking at is then, is there a problem in the change? Is there a problem in the metabolism? Is there a problem that in my car, I can't get the engine to spin, or I can't get the steering wheel to turn left and right, or the wheels on my car aren't spinning, or the fan to one of my important parts on the inside of the car isn't keeping it cool? I'm looking at the metabolism, the change. So if I'm certain that the problem is not a nutritional deficiency with the woman, but she's having hormonal situations or symptoms, then I'm looking at, is does she have an actual dysfunction in the organ itself? So can the uterus not slough off the uterine lining? Can the ovary not release the egg? Is the egg not sliding down the tube nicely or effectively or efficiently? And then metabolism also includes the communication system that happens between the ovaries and uterus, all of the hormones, and then all the other organs. So do you know that actually ovulation happens in the brain? So the actual effect happens in the ovaries and uterus, but it's a hormonal message or signal from the brain that tells the ovaries and uterus it's time to ovulate. So you have the brain directly connected to the metabolism of what happens locally in the ovaries and uterus. And that is so common for so many of these organs. And it's why I've showed you the pictures in the past of all those lines, of those little direct and indirect lines. So even though the final effect happens in the liver or in the intestines or in the heart or in the ovaries and uterus, the signal or the starting point, a lot of times, unfortunately, is what with one of the other organs, which makes that starting point even more tricky and more complex. Is that if I have an ovary and a uterus not working, and then I look at the nutritional components to the ovaries and uterus from a start standpoint, and that doesn't do the trick, then I'm like, oh my gosh, now I have to go look elsewhere. I got to go see and like, okay, so what organs and systems give this positive feedback to the ovaries and uterus to tell it to do its job? So you have the communication, then you have the nutrition, then you have the actual metabolism, and then you have the wrapping up of the activity. And this wrapping up, this detox, it's detox unfortunately has gotten such an odd definition due to nutritionists for the past several decades using it. It's like, you're like, oh, I don't feel good, and they come up to you and you're like, you need to do detox. That really means absolutely nothing. What you need to know and do is understanding the word detoxification, cleansing, and finalizing any metabolic activity. Because every time you take your car in for an oil change, that's technically a detox. Every time you take the garbage out to the curb, that's a detox, because that garbage was in your kitchen because you had scrap material. You put it in the garbage bag. That was the change. And then you have to take that bag out to the curb, and then that's the detox. So every week you detox your kitchen. So it's an odd way to looking at it, but it's like, this is what's missing in your body. Is if I had a problem in my kitchen, I'd be looking at, do I have bad air coming in, or do I have a bug infestation, or do I have a piece of rotting fruit in my kitchen? That would be the start. That's the problem on the front end. Or do I actually have a problem in my kitchen, meaning that the ventilation system that comes from the air conditioning unit, is the vent in my kitchen blocked? Is there something leaking, or is there some mold growing under the floor or under my cabinets? This is all the change. This is all the metabolic things that might either be occurring or not be occurring in my kitchen. And then if I don't have any of that, then I'm thinking there must be something left over in my kitchen that I don't know about, I forgot about. So something's hidden. There's a piece of rotting food that I didn't detox out of the refrigerator. I didn't detox it into the garbage can, or I didn't take the garbage bag and detox it out to the curb. So you see how you're actually supposed to use these words. So in thinking with all of those examples, this explains why you can't figure yourself out. Because if I had a smell in my kitchen, an odor in my kitchen, now using that whole cycle as an example of all the start problems I could have, all the change problems I can have, and all the stop problems I can have, if I walked into your kitchen and said, it smells in here, how come? You'd be like, I don't know. And then wouldn't we have to go figure it out? We'd have to go literally almost with a clipboard. Like, okay, is it this? Is it that? Is it this? Is it that? No, that's not it. The air conditioning unit working. I just opened the window. I have a fan. The cleaning lady just cleaned out the kitchen. I just quickly mopped yesterday. I'm like, I don't think these are any of the problems. I'm like, okay, so we know it's not that. We know your refrigerator's working. The lights are on. It's cold on the inside. We don't have a leak. We sneak around your cabinets. We look around the floor. We're on our hands and knees looking around for any metabolic problems in your kitchen, and we don't see any. And then we're like, okay, but it still smells in here. So what's going on? We know it's not a start. We know it's not a change. It's got to be something at the end, a stop or a detox. And you're like, oh my gosh, my husband forgot to take out the garbage. Or, oh my gosh, little Kaylee hid a banana underneath the cabinet, or hid it under a basket, or threw it behind the refrigerator and it's back there rotting. You have a detox problem. You have some smell or odor or toxic situation not getting out. And this is exactly how your organs, your systems, and all of your cells work day to day, minute to minute, second to second. So when you're trying to figure out what's wrong with you, why you have hot flashes, why you have headaches, why you have heartburn, why you have pain, you need to look at the start, change, and stop. You need to look at all the nutrition, all the metabolic activities or metabolism, and all the detox reactions that may or may not be occurring. So using that as an example, let's go back to the uterus, because that's, again, a key one, what this cycle looks like here. And let me go here. Let me share that with you. Okay, hold on. I didn't like what I did. So particular. So good. Let me try this again. All right, good. Excellent. So good. Let me share this now. We'll try this here. Perfect. Okay, good. All right. So we're back to using the ovaries, uterus, and hot flashes or hormones as the example. So what we need to do then is figure out if when you come to see me and you're like, I'm having hot flashes or I'm having brain fog and I think it's hormones or whatever the case may be, the first thing we have to do is rule in or rule out, is this a nutrient problem? Are you deficient in vitamin A, vitamin B? Do you need more protein? Do you need essential fatty acids? Whatever it is, we need to take a look at all of those things. And if we determine it's not that, and now we're looking at metabolism. So can your body properly break down old dead tissue? Can it properly correctly create new tissue? Can it keep the balance, as we talked about, with the harmony with the other organs? Is the ovary and uterus correctly cooperating with your adrenal glands and your thyroid gland and your brain? Is everybody in there metabolically cooperating, and are they in harmony? Are they in homeostasis? Are they in balance? And then if they're not, then we're looking at a detox situation. So that means something is not getting eliminated. So when you have, let's say, for example, on a lab panel, high estrogen, okay, so your estrogen levels are too high, we know that that high estrogen is either due to a nutrient deficiency, a metabolic dysfunction, and or a toxicity. And the mistake that the doctors are making is they're trying to give you hormones to fix the problem. So here is where the breakdown occurs. So I have a lab level of my estrogen is too high, and let's say my testosterone is too low. So what do I have? I have this. I already have a problem. Now what I have to find out is the one causing the other, because maybe we don't need to look any further. Maybe I don't have to look at the ovaries or the uterus. I just have to get testosterone up and or estrogen up to bring the other one down or balance it out in the middle. So it doesn't even mean that you actually have to go and do, quote, hormone replacement, whether that's synthetic hormones, bioidentical hormones, or even vitamins or minerals or herbs for hormones. Because if we determine the problem's not a start, if I already have enough hormones in there, do I need to take a drug or a vitamin to put in more hormones? No, because I already have too much to begin with. If I know metabolically that my body can recognize the estrogen, it can recognize the testosterone, and it's doing its best job to metabolize that out and utilize it and shunt it here and shunt it there and support it here and move it around here and change it here. If that's all occurring and I still have too high of a level, then what do I know? We know the machine is metabolizing that hormone correctly. We know you're getting plenty of it to begin with. The problem usually becomes is that you're not getting out the hormone residues. So almost every case of high estrogen is not because you have to go force another hormone to go high. It's that you are not detoxing out when you get to that stop step. You are not excreting out estrogen residues. They're getting stuck in your system. They're supposed to be excreted out in the bowels and the bladder. So whatever is going wrong is your body sees all the hormones, using all the hormones. You have plenty of hormones. Your body's sending these hormones here, there, and everywhere. They're in the thyroid. They're in the liver. They get detoxed. They're going here. They're going to the ovaries. They're going to uterus. They're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. And then the ovaries, uterus, and the estrogen is like, okay, let's start wrapping it up, and I'm done. And then you don't get eliminated. So estrogen's like kind of hanging out, and like, again, I'm being silly. So estrogen's hanging out, and I'm like estrogen from 6 weeks ago. And then like new estrogen comes. I'm like, hey, who are you? I'm like, hi, I'm new estrogen. I'm like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm old estrogen. And new estrogen is like, what are you doing here? And and I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I'm supposed to be gone because if new estrogen comes, isn't old estrogen supposed to be gone? And new estrogen is like, yeah, you should be out of here. Why are you still hanging out? I'm like, I don't know. I guess nobody came to get me. Um, and then this happens day after day, week after week, month after month, until not only do you have old hormone residues in there, old estrogen, now you have the new estrogen. And guess what happens? You get hormonal imbalances. You get a weird cycle. You get migraines. You get hot flashes. And why? Because I have too much hormones. And it's not because I need to be on hormone replacement, is that we never detox out old estrogen and only allowed it to be new estrogen. Because if my estrogen was too high because I had too much new and old, if I just detoxed out the old, wouldn't the new level drop down into normal? This is the part of every single organ and system that's being missed. It's true for a thyroid, it's true for a liver, it's true for a heart, it's true for everything on the inside. There's a beginning part of a problem, there's a metabolic problem in the middle, and or there's a detox problem at the end. And the trick is finding out which one, and sometimes it's all three, by the way. So if it's not complicated enough, sometimes you do have a nutritional deficiency, and that's why the ovaries and uterus aren't cooperating. You could also have some kind of metabolic glitch where there's not a beautiful homeostasis reaction happening between your ovaries and uterus. They're a little mad at each other, so to speak. And then it could also be that you have a detox reaction, that all of the ovary and ovulation residue and all of the estrogen and the uterine residue, none of it's getting out. So next month, the ovaries and uterus, over a vitamin deficiency and a metabolic glitch, are forced to now push all of this, like, excuse me, pardon me, like, get out of here. It's like, it's like I'm trying to do my job. So all of these things in combination is what's really going on. And why do you have health issues and why do you have symptoms is because all of these cycles at each of their phases are very, very important. And unfortunately, sometimes it's one, sometimes it's two, and sometimes it's all three. So based on that, for example, you might be on a vitamin to provide the raw nutrition for the ovaries and uterus. You might be on a specific organ support product to fix the damage to the actual organ. And then you actually might also be on a detox product to detox out any residues from tissue that's old and has died, part of our, as part of our journey, and or hormone residue. The other thing too is all of these cells, if you don't realize this, is you have cellular level excrement. So we all think when we have a bowel movement or we, eliminate, is that that's the only excrement that is. A lot of that actually is coming from your cells. It's not coming from your food. So it's not coming from the steak and salad you had for lunch. That's just the fiber and the roughage that's part of the bowel movement. But the rest of the bowel movement is actually your cellular level scraps, so to speak. So just like when you make a salad and you cut it all up, you have a little bit of, the shavings or the ends of the vegetable, depending on what it is. That's the scraps. So when your cell goes and makes new hormones, or it helps you move your liquid waste from the upper part of your body down to the kidneys, or your body sends good brain hormones to the brain. All of those activities, once the cell's done and move, create, change, support, nourish. Once that's all done, there's some scrap material. And what the cell does is it's inside the cell. And then throughout the day, it poops. I don't know how else to explain it. So you have cellular level excrement or poop. So the body's like, okay, good. I did all what I'm going to do. So, cell number, there's 30 trillion of them. So let's say cell number, 4,679,282 is done with her job for the day. She's like, okay, I'm wrapping it up here. And these are my scraps. It takes it out of the cell and then sends it outside the cell. And then it goes into the bloodstream, and then it's captured by your liver, your intestine, your kidneys, etc. And it's like, scrap material. We don't want that in the bloodstream. It grabs it, and then you eliminate that probably the next day in either the bowels or the bladder. And a lot of what you're looking at with your health situation is this accumulation of cellular excrement that your body, your cells cannot eliminate or detox at the cellular level. So you hear me talk about so much about this detox, and you hear me talking about all these cells. We're not only talking about the organ that's having trouble, the brain, the heart, the spleen, the liver, etc. We're also talking about all the millions of cells in there are dirty. So your liver might be dirty, and then every single liver cell might be dirty. And then we have to get out all that excrement or sediment or whatever you want to call it. That all needs to be eliminated. So a huge portion of the time, the hormonal situations that I see are, one, of course, vitamin and minerals deficiencies. This is what nutritionists have been touting since the beginning of time. But what if it's actually due to a damaged organ? You have a broken engine or a wiper blade that's floppy or, falling off. You could give that car all of the wiper fluid you can, all the gasoline and all the oil in the world. It's not going to make the car work any better because it's a part problem. There's a part of your machine that's broken or not functioning correctly. And the same is true for all of your organs and systems. And then the third part, it could be that your oil is just dirty, or the air filter in your car has never been changed. And then you get in the car and you wonder why it won't start, is because you never cleaned the oil. You never serviced your car. You never took it into the mechanic to have him go clean it out from the inside. And then it's a detox reaction. And then basically, and I tell my patients all the time, all I am is a very glorified mechanic. I need to find out is there a fluid deficiency or a fluid level I need to fill? Is there a broken part I need to fix? Or is there something in your car I need to clean or do like an oil change or filter it out or clean? And so, do a lot more than that because it's a body, a little bit simpler on a car, but it's the same basic mindset of what I'm doing and what I'm looking at and what I'm trying to do in helping you. So you have all of this going on again, every single second of the day, not only at the system level, the organ level, and again, the cellular level. So that's why I show you that picture and why it's so complex and figuring out, why do I have a headache? Wow. I mean, the answer could be a million and one things. Or why do I have hot flashes? It's like, well, now that you know, there's three key areas and all of these organs and systems having personal interactions with each other. And that is where your quote hot flashes are coming from. So literally it's a checklist that I have memorized. Is like, is it this? Yes. Is it this? No. Is it this? Yes. Is it this? No. And one of the beautiful parts of that is why I do not only the body analysis, so I can get into direct communication with the body as the body whisperer, and you can put some pressure on the local organs and you just kind of poke at them and annoy them a little bit and they give you a response. And so that's, if you're not a patient, it's one of the body examinations that I do. So if you want to find out if you have an irritated thyroid, what you do is you irritate it just slightly more. And then if it becomes more irritated, then you know you really do have an irritated thyroid. And then the other half of the equation, because we're looking at so much of this happening at the invisible level, I can see a thyroid, I can see the woman's throat. What I can't see is the cells, and I can't see what's going on inside each of her cells. So we do the functional medicine lab test. So between all of those things, we come up with the perfect calculus equation or algorithm for you, is what was high, what was low, what was normal. So is it just strictly an ovary and uterus problem, or is it 20% ovary and uterus, but it's 30% adrenal glands and 20% B vitamin deficiency and 10% brain communication. So you have to come up with your own personalized algorithm for why do I have hot flashes? So you can see now when people try and go online and they're reading articles or they're watching some social influencer, it was like, oh, well, if you have this, you need that. And it's like, there's nothing that could be further from the truth. Now that I've made you all little biochemical nerds. So that's what we're trying to do. So now that you have a great understanding of what this looks like, what I want to do for the rest of this is I want you to, in the chat, tell me an organ or a symptom that you would like me to take and break it down in these simplistic terms as to what you're concerned about, possibly a symptom you have, or an organ, so I can give you that same basic philosophy and understanding. So if you want to put that in, if anyone has a symptom, a problem, or an organ that you want me to explain. So I did it with the uterus, very important one. But if you have anyone, so go ahead, enter in the chat now, and we'll see if there's any other organs that we're taking a look at. So go ahead and you can do that now if you want to know anything. Okay, good. So let me take a look here. If you have anything else you want to say, by the way, questions based on everything I just said, you're welcome to chime those in as well. So we're going to do a little bit of a question answer, but it's going to be still structured as part of the class here today, because I want you to get the understanding, basically like, medical school 101 here from me in the next 10 minutes. Okay, good. So the first question becomes is what prevents the body from digesting fat? Well, that's a very good question. Many things prevent the body from digesting fat. So the organs that are involved in fat metabolism literally start with the saliva in your mouth, the stomach acid, your liver and your gallbladder, and your small intestine and your kidneys. So why are you not digesting fat is one, I am assuming one or several of those organs are not metabolizing the middle phase, changing correctly, and or they're only partially metabolizing and they're creating a waste product, and now it's a detox reaction. So either you have a metabolic insufficiency or possibly a toxicity. And then also there are certain vitamins and minerals your body needs to create the enzymes and the substances to break down fat. So if you are deficient in a particular enzyme that's required for breaking down fat, you will have a hard time metabolizing fat. If you have what I call sludge stuck in your liver, you're going to have a hard time metabolizing fat because the liver is one of the primary organs where fat gets metabolized. It gets broken down. There's also something that the gallbladder is responsible for. It's called bile salt. If you do not have enough bile salts are one of the key things that helps break down fat. Maybe you're deficient in bile salt. So again, in the start, the change, the stop, we need to find out, do you have some kind of nutritional deficiency? Are you deficient in an enzyme or some bile salts? Do you have a broken liver, or do you have too many toxins in the way? So for example, if you are full of pesticides, the body has to metabolize the pesticides before the fat. So if you're being exposed to too many poisons each day, the body can metabolize the fat, but never has the opportunity to metabolize it because it has to go get out the toxins first. So it could be a toxicity situation that we're looking at. So we have several organs and systems we need to take a look at, and several key components in each of those organs that might be the true reason why you can't metabolize fat. So great question. Okay, good. Let's do brain fog. So brain fog is a great one. First thing I want to tell you about the brain is most things that go on in the brain, such as brain fog, actually aren't coming from the brain. The brain is kind of pretty much self-concealed. And if the brain is having a problem, it's because of the fluid, the cerebrospinal fluid that you have in your brain and your spinal cord, or the blood. So what's happening is as the poisons are floating around, it comes in, let's say, for example, not that you would, but let's say you drank a shot of Clorox bleach. Well, now this bleach has to go into your system and get detoxed out. But before it can do that, it goes into your bloodstream and usually does at least one go around in all the organs and systems. So you drink the bleach, it goes into your stomach, gets absorbed through the stomach lining, and it goes into the bloodstream. And then it gets pumped everywhere, like kind of in a circle, like it goes up, it comes up the top of the head, it comes down the other side, goes down around your fingers, down around your abdomen, down to your toes, and then usually works itself back up, and then finally gets shunted to the liver and then gets out of the bloodstream. So when you talk about brain fog or problems in the brain, this is truly anything can cause your brain problem. So that anything that is either too high or too low in the bloodstream as it's passing by the brain tissue can truly be the root cause of your brain fog. And then it can be a hormone situation. It could be a miscommunication with your thyroid, your adrenals, your ovaries, or your uterus. And it could be something as simple as the machine. The brain isn't working itself because you don't have enough B vitamins, or you're not eating enough protein. The machine, the brain itself, can't do this. Like if you have to assume like all of these organs all day are kind of doing this, or doing like, or they're either, they're working, they're friction, they're circling, they're doing this every day. And then if in order for this to happen, if B vitamins need to occur, and this is how your brain functions, and what if there's no B vitamins? It's going to be more like this. So then you're like, why does my brain feel so funky? It's because I need this many B vitamins and you're giving me this many B vitamins. So great question. Okay, good. Let's see. Good. Can you explain how a hot flash could also be a sign of rejected food, not hormone related? Good. So, and not necessarily having any digestive issues. So yes, so what you're looking at is liver metabolism. And what the liver has to do is metabolize everything you do in a day. So if you don't remember, I said in a previous class when I was in chiropractic college and we had to do our basic anatomy physiology board exam to get qualified to practice in the country. There's a board exam that you have to take, and we were studying for the exam, and we had our professors helping us and making sure we knew the material that was going to be hopefully asked on the exam. And the one professor got up there, he's like, let me tell you this, he's like, for this part of the exam, if you don't know the answer, pick liver. He's like, because there's about a 99% chance you're correct. And that is so true of this body. The liver is responsible for metabolizing all of your pesticides, all of your heavy metals, all of your chemicals. It's responsible for metabolizing all of your carbohydrates. It's responsible for metabolizing all of your fat, and it's indirectly related in metabolizing out your protein. It has a direct relationship for detox purposes with your kidneys, and it also has a direct detox relationship with your small intestines to shunt it off. So if you have a food in there that is only being partially metabolized, and then now you also have a hormone molecule that needs to be handled, and maybe it's either partially metabolized or not partially or not metabolized at all. It's not that the food is causing the hot flash, it's that the food is in the way of the liver metabolizing this hormone. So now it's rolling around in your system and causing hot flashes and annoying your ovaries and uterus and whoever else it wants to kind of annoy along the way. So you have, I like to call them uninvited guests. So when you have an overgrowth of bacteria in your gut, you have some uninvited guests. When I have too much estrogen in my bloodstream, it's an uninvited guest. When I have pesticides in my brain tissue, I have an uninvited guest. So a lot of it is that the symptoms are being caused due to uninvited guests, and that would put you at the detox portion of the start, change, stop that we're talking so much about. So great. Okay, good. Let's see here. That's good. So give me a second one. Here's a long one. I'll try and summarize it here in just a second. Okay, good. So what we're looking at here is someone who is a patient, and we did the body analysis, and we were looking at is we had the adrenal glands, the thyroid, and the intestines, and then also some female hormones thrown in there. So if that's not enough, and then what the question is that if there's psoriasis as well. So here's the biggest mistake everyone makes is when a symptom flares up, everyone says it's stress. So how can that be? Can you see stress? Like if you can't take a picture of it and hang it on your fridge, like it's really not, it can't be the true cause. So I'm not saying that, you don't have a reaction to some non-optimum situation in your day, but it's not always going to be stress. It's like, oh, I have a headache. It's probably due to stress. And I'm like, okay, good. So explain that biochemistry to me. It's like, how is that even possible? Now, if you have the organs that are responsible for the homeostasis, as you know, in Chinese medicine, you have yin and yang. So certain parts of your day and life, you're supposed to be hyper and wild and and then other parts of your life, you're supposed to be kind of chill and calm and depending on who you are, what part of the day it is, and what's going on. So what's happening here is that if it is stress, it's only because you're out of homeostasis, is you got too much and not enough and we call it stress. Now, there's organs that are responsible for keeping this high and low, and you have two sides of your nervous system. You have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic, stress, hyper; parasympathetic, calm and chill. So if you had a bad day, what it tells me is these already are out of balance, and whatever happened that day made it more out of balance. And then what that does is now puts in extra, most likely cortisol, that your body couldn't tolerate. So if your cortisol levels are already too high and now you have more cortisol, you now gave that poor liver more to metabolize. And the liver's like, I'm already like trying to handle all this other stuff. What's all this cortisol now smacking me in the face? So is it truly stress? Kind of, sort of, not really. It is the trigger, but it is not the cause. The cause is when the upset in your life came in. Who, remember, I keep talking to all these body parts like they're people, who didn't do their job? Who dropped the ball? Was it your brain? Was it your thyroid? Was it your adrenal glands? Was it your cortisol? Was it some other organ or system? Did you not have enough enzyme present to break down the cortisol that was excreted? Do you have sludge in your liver that it was already trying to get the goo out, and then you had all this extra cortisol, and liver's like, I can't handle all this? Because the reason you have skin problems, whether this is acne, rosacea, psoriasis, is the skin is the largest organ of elimination. So when the body can't get whatever the toxin is out of the gut fast enough, or out of the kidneys fast enough, and that you'll either get out that waste product in the bowels or the bladder, the third line of choice to get poisons out of the body is via the skin. So any skin problem, I know, is absolutely, you have at least a kidney and or a gut problem, because that is the root cause of where the toxicity or the overwhelm came from. That your body saw all of this in here as like, I need to get it out now, and it just shoves it all out through the skin. So a skin problem is always a detox problem, is always a metabolism problem, which is always a dysfunction problem, which most likely is already a nutrient deficient problem. So just hopes that helps with the answer to that question. Okay, good. Let's see if there's any other ones here. So detox, let's talk detox here for a second. It says, okay, good. So the question is very, very, very important, is not having a bowel move every day. This is a really non-optimum thing. Technically, and this is a far stretch in today's society, technically you should have a bowel movement after every meal, in keeping with the start, change, stop. Food comes in, food gets metabolized, last meal should be coming out. So as lunch is coming in, breakfast should be coming out. As dinner's coming in, lunch should be coming out. Now, that is like almost unheard of and really difficult in modern day society due to the life we lead and the quality of the foods, or lack of quality of food, we eat. So at least once every day, we do need to get the bowels eliminating and getting out whatever happened metabolically at that change point for the day. And then, hitting the reset button for the next day. So if you're not having a bowel movement at least once a day, we do have to figure out why that is. Is it a broken machine, meaning the small intestine or the stomach isn't doing the squishy? Because this is the machine, because your food's supposed to come in, it's supposed to go squish, 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 squish. So do we have a broken machine? Or do we have a deficiency in enzymes? Or do we have not enough B vitamins to make hydrochloric acid? Or whatever the case may be? Do we have a nutritional deficiency? And or are we lacking in these bile salts that we talk about? Is the intestinal lining not slippery enough? That's a big one as well. So when you have gut disease, the lining of the intestine, imagine it like a slip and slide. Is that the food is supposed to slide through the tube. So even if you ate a great steak and salad for lunch, if there's no lubrication, so to speak, it doesn't slide. So it might not be that you didn't eat good food, or that you didn't have plenty of enzyme to break down that food. Is that by the time it got to the tube or the intestine, there wasn't enough lubrication on the inside lining of the gut for it to keep sliding on down. So again, we're looking at, is it an actual detox problem, a function problem, a broken part problem, or a nutritional deficiency? So definitely need to have a bowel movement at least once a day, and then finding out what the root cause is of why that didn't happen is definitely key. So great question. Okay, good. Let's take a look at, let's see here. Good. Good. So probably someone who joined us late said, I'm 56 and going through horrible hot flashes. Why is that? I'm miserable. I don't know. It's either a start problem, a change problem, a stop problem, or all three. So why? I don't know. We have to figure out. First of all, we need to know what hormone it is. That's the other thing. Do you remember, as I said in another class, the female body has approximately 67 hormones. So when you're like, is it a hormone? The first thing is maybe. And then even if it is a hormone, which one of the 67 is it? estrogen and progesterone and testosterone is a very short-sighted way to look at the female hormonal system. It could be a thyroid hormone. It could be adrenal hormone. It could be a brain hormone. It could be a gut hormone. We don't even have time to talk about it. We're going to do this in another masterclass. Your gut is so important. It's so much more than just the tube where the waste product comes. Every brain hormone is made in the gut and then sent to the brain for use. Your immune system, the vast majority of your immune system kind of resides outside, almost like insulation on the outside of the intestinal wall. So if you could like slice it, if you looked, you would see the tube and the food that comes down the tube, and then you have the slip and slide on the actual tube of the intestine. But if you went actually outside, kind of like pipes in your house, you know, the insulation's there. The insulation in your house is the equivalent of your immune system. So people are like, oh, how come I keep getting sick? And then because you're toxic. And like, oh, no, that's not it. Because I mean, I don't have heartburn. I'm like, I didn't say you had to have heartburn. I'm saying is you have a toxic tube and all of that waste product is leaking in or going through the intestinal wall and messing with your immune system. So the whole idea is finding out, one, is it what the hot flashes are? What hormone is creating it? Then when we know what hormone it is, we have to go find out what organ creates that hormone. Then when we know what organ creates that hormone, then we need to go see, is that hormone or is that organ have a nutritional deficiency, a metabolic dysfunction, and or a toxicity situation, or all three. And then once we get all that handled, hot flashes go away. So I hope that helps. Okay, good. Anxiety attacks. I love anxiety attacks. I don't mean because I love them. It's like anxiety is so easy to handle. That's why I love it. It's like I mean, if there's a textbook cookie cutter, this is such an easy one. And everyone's like, oh my gosh. It's really quite easy. Anxiety attacks, panic attacks, some depression, stress, work, long hours, poor sleep. Why do you think you have the anxiety attacks? So you are in cortisol overwhelm. You don't sleep. When you don't sleep, your cortisol goes up. When you're stressed, your cortisol goes up. All of these things, that's what anxiety is. It's an adrenaline rush. It's an adrenaline rush gone bad. So we all know about adrenaline, right? So something happens, you're about to start the race, and they're waiting for the gun, and off you go. But you're there at the starting line, and you see all of your competitors left and right, and your heart's racing. You're like, oh my gosh. That's an adrenaline rush. That's a good thing. The problem is we in modern day America, we live our life all day, constantly, every minute of the day, like we're at the starting line. And that is so unhealthy. So 99.9% of the time, anxiety attacks, all of that stuff it's cortisol, and cortisol is made by the adrenal glands. So you're either looking at exhausted, overwhelmed, broken adrenal glands, or you're looking at nutritional deficiency of the adrenal glands. Adrenal glands need B vitamins and they need minerals to be the fuel. And or possibly you have a toxicity situation. You could have chlorine stuck in your adrenal glands. You could have plastic bottle residue stuck in your adrenal glands, and it's preventing the hormone from being properly utilized and metabolized. So anxiety is a great one. It is actually quite easy to handle once you know the root cause. And then the other half of it is and this is every one of my patients, you have to start taking responsibility for this life you lead and changing it. So yes, we're all stressed. We all have a lot to do, but there's something known as self-care and self-love. And if you don't apply it, no one else is going to apply it for you. Everyone in your life, whether they do it on purpose or by accident, will take full advantage of you unless you establish boundaries and on occasion say no. So a lot of it is you allowing to get yourself into such an anxious state due to a lack of barriers. And secondly, because you've been operating so long without having those barriers, you're actually destroying the stress gland that's responsible for keeping you calm and giving you that adrenaline rush, but getting you out of a sticky situation. So you can't live in that mode 24/7. It will get the better of you. That's for sure. Okay, good. So we're going to start wrapping it up. We're coming up on the hour here. And what we need to do is take a look at what the root causes are. Let me see if there's anything else. And bottom line is you're all asking, what causes tachycardia? What's causing my hot flashes? What causes my low hormones? What's causing my brain fog? And let me just go and I will put this back on the thing here for you. So you all see, because there's only one answer. Okay, let's go back. And the answer is, I don't know, because as you know, anything can cause anything. Here are all the key organs and systems. Here are all the positive and negative interrelationships that you can't see that are going on biochemically, hormonally, and cellularly. So you can see a pituitary problem is a small intestine problem, and a small intestine problem is a pancreas problem, and a pancreas problem is a thyroid problem, and a thyroid problem is an ovary problem. So what we need to find out is where is the root cause of what's occurring. So, and then we'll go back to my most favorite picture to really drive home the point is what's really going on is once we know the organs and systems, then what we might be looking at is, let's go here and looking at the cellular level. What is causing the situation is something on this chart. It could be an enzyme deficiency. It can be a vitamin deficiency. It could be a hormone toxicity. It could be a toxic liver. It could be because your kidneys aren't excreting the waste product in your urine. It could be because you're drinking too much water out of plastic water bottles. It's because you're drinking tap water that has too many poisons. It could be because you're spraying low quality poisonous perfume on your thyroid. It could be because you're eating low quality mystery meat from these fast food restaurants. Any one of these things could be the true root cause of what's creating the situation. The goal is to identify using the body examination that I do in office and the functional medicine lab test to find out where are the problems coming from. I've had so many women tell me they insist it's estrogen, and then we do their hormone levels, and there's 3 estrogens, by the way, 3 key ones. All 3 estrogens are completely normal. So my tests are really user-friendly and easy to read. Green is good, yellow is so-so, and red is bad. And they're like, it's estrogen, it's estrogen. I know it's my hormones. I know it's my hormones. And we do the test, and estrogen number 1 is green, estrogen number 2 is green, and estrogen number 3 is green. And I'm like, it's not estrogen. So we go through the rest of the hormone test then, and then I show them which ones it is. But half the time, it's not even the one you think. So that's also what makes it fun and challenging me to do what I do for a living, is really getting to the root cause and looking at this from an approach and a viewpoint that not many other practitioners are looking at it from. All right, good. Well, thank you so much for hanging with me here for a few minutes past 7. I hope that helped. Next masterclass, we're going to be talking about the body examination and the lab test specifically. So I'm going to be showing you some sample reports and going into an explanation of what I do. If you haven't been a patient, even if you are a patient, like, what does she do every time I see her? I know she knows what she's doing, but I have no idea what it is. So we'll be talking about these things specifically, and we'll show you all the beautiful tests you can do for all the different organs and systems. So there's no guessing. So it's not a matter of, I think it's not estrogen and you think it is. We're not going to fight about that. We're going to go do the test, and then we're both going to know. And maybe you were right. Maybe it's one of the 3. So you were a third right. So whatever the case may be, we need to have the exact answers. This is what your medical doctors are not doing. This is what your medical doctors are not going to do. And they're not going to do it because none of this is considered the medical standard. And medical doctors will lose their licenses if they do anything but the medical standard. And the second part of that is the reason it's not part of the medical standard is because it's not covered by health insurance. The insurance companies actually run the medical industry, not the medical doctors. So that doctor of yours is not going to run or suggest any test or any solution or any help of any kind that isn't under the standard of care and covered by insurance, which you already know what's covered by insurance because you've seen what they do, and you're also seeing what they don't do. So my job is to do not the standard of care and do everything else that no one is willing and or able to do. So thanks so much again for being with me here this evening. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks where we cover everything we did tonight with the body examination and the nutritional and biochemical lab test to see where I get all this valuable data from. Thanks again, and have a good night. Goodbye.